Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMatch.com here with a wrap-up video for our Phenax playing on a budget. Overall, pretty cool idea. Unfortunately, I do not think that it works in Standard. We've had a little bit of complaints on the YouTube comments about the competitiveness of the decks that I've been playing lately, and I just want to clear that up real quick. These decks that have been forced more out of creativity than anything in these last few weeks, due to the fact that most of the competitive budget decks I kind of got out of the way at the very first. I think that out of this season anyway, the two most competitive decks I played were the white heroic deck and the red kind of the boss slide take. I think Rich called it 36 1-drops or something like that, which was the very fast, aggressive red Acheron Crusader and the Satyr, Fire Drinker Satyr, etc., all the 1-drops of Monastery Swiftspear, where you just hook up the Dragon's Mantles, etc., onto him and then try to kill as quickly as possible, kind of blitz your opponent. So, and I've had a few other ones that have been more competitive, like the red-green aggro, but now we're on the back end right before a new set comes out, Fate Reforged. One of the problems with Caves of Koilos is there's clear-cut powerful cards. This isn't really a format that is very conducive to the creativity because if you're looking to build a deck in Standard, you're looking to go into mid range, you're automatically thinking Siege Rhino if you're going to be in any sort of green strategy, and if you're going to be more of a tempo strategy, you have Mantis Rider, and control strategy you have Elspeth, and they're the clear-cut winners of their category. And yes, that's true for Standard a lot of the time, but I found it a lot easier to be more creative in the Return of Ravnica Theros blocks especially than these last blocks of being Theros or the Khans of Tarkir. So Fate Reforged is going to add a ton of cards for me to work with, and a ton of budget cards, especially. A lot of the cards that I really love from the Fate Reforged are going to be budget cards, are going to be rares, not mythics, and we'll be able to mix things up. But just want to address that real quick with it that, yeah, I'll be back to playing more powerful decks. I've been really scraping the bottom of the barrel with decks that we can try to play for playing our budgets, as you know, we're way far into the Khans of Tarkir release, and already touched on basically every possible budget deck. So I'm going to play some modern decks for the next couple weeks. I have an 8-rack deck that I want to show, and maybe we'll revisit Death and Taxes for budget-based decks. Maybe even play Merfolk and see if we can get it under $200 and play those decks. You can actually even play Delver without all the fetch lands for under a budget. But let's get back to this deck. I thought it was really fun. It was interesting, but I really don't see an advantage over playing this deck over just a regular Esper control deck with using Elspeth as the win condition. Basically, if you just rely on Elspeth, you can cut out so much of this and just kind of go the Nyx-Fleece Ram. And this is if you cut all this out, this is the rest of the slots that you have for control. You can run Dig Through Times to find your Elspeth, and then you can have more of the slots for more Heals, Downforce, Motorends, more Banishing Lights, more cards that will help you stall out to get that Elspeth. So cool idea. Again, this was actually submitted by an 11-year-old. He was doing really well at his local game store with it, but that's kind of the difference between local game stores and MTGOs, is the competition level on MTGO is much higher. I'm one of those players that can play locally and pretty much have an easy time with any deck, but when I go on MTGO, especially the 2-man queues, you're going to be going up against the Tier 1 decks, against players that are very, very competent, they know what they're doing, and know how to adjust to different scenarios. So anyway, if you're going to be running this in more of a casual format, I definitely see merit to it, but if you're going to be trying to take this to, say, a Grand Prix or whatnot, I do not advise it. It does not fit very well in the metagame against the more Mardu or Jeskai or even Abzan type mid-range decks that attack on multiple different levels. So anyway, big shout out though. This was a very fun deck. I appreciate the submissions to roguedeckbuilder@gmail.com if you have an idea for playing on a budget. Again, this is the time of year when we really start to scrape the barrel for possible decks that we can play. But we're getting the juicy Fate Reforged within a couple of weeks. And until then, we will go to my favorite format, which is Modern, and I'm going to try to mix things up and do some cool decks there. Again, next week we will be doing an 8-rack deck that I have been working on that is very budget. If you don't run Liliana as an 8-rack, the deck is very, very budget friendly. So be looking forward to that. You'll have a competitive deck that is also under budget in the next week. And then following in those few weeks after that, we'll have the Fate Reforged. This has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Playing on a Budget. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Gathering Magic and check out our Playing on a Budget playlist, which contains every episode. Thanks again and hope to see you soon.